Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Corona Del Mar High School for the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament, the start of 6 days of high-level water polo action. And we kick things off with our first game today, Brazil taking on Australia, alongside Dean Cantal, Greg Meskel here with you poolside for the first of a host of great matches. Dean, great opportunity here for fans to check in on some high-level water polos. We're seeing Australia's roster here. What are your thoughts as we get ready to kick off a week of great water polo?
Well, Greg, I mean, the facility's looking great. We haven't had a high-level water polo tournament here in the United States in quite some time. You know, you've had international teams come in for training and single games and whatnot. But to have a full-week tournament here, I think is going to give a lot of people an opportunity to come out and see some of the best players in the world.
So as we're getting set for the opening sprint here, it'll be Brazil in the white caps and Australia in the green. You got a good look there at the lineups for each of these squads. Brazil, of course, led by the veteran head coach Ratko Rudic, a real turnaround specialist, has jumped from country to country and improved the teams along the way. Multiple-time Olympic champion as well as a head coach. And some names to jump out at you on that roster, of course, Felipe Perrone coming over from Europe, Gustavo Guimarães, among others. So some talented players on the Brazilian squad for Australia. And their head coach, Elvis Fadovic. They go with James Stanton French in the cage. And on out from there, some athletes that U.S. fans will be familiar with. Lachlan Edwards playing collegiately at USC, as is the backup goalkeeper, James Clark. Well, we're underway here. First quarter, first day of action in Australia. Will control it in the green caps. They're moving here right to left. Brazil guarding defensively in the white. Brazil, the team, Dean, the only one here that thus far knows they'll be in the Olympic Games, the host nation. That is a burden they won't have to face. For many other countries, though, this is kind of the kickoff, really, for qualifying for Rio as they look towards the Super Final and beyond.
Yeah, just a little more than a year to get ready for the Olympics, which are, some under 500 days away. I think it was just announced last week was 500 days out.
See a shot there in close. That one is stopped immediately. Now we'll get a first look at Brazil on the offensive end.
That's Delgado down with the free pass at 2 meters.
Let's see what we get here now as Brazil sets up their offense. A little bit of pressure here, keeping them out on the perimeter. See if they can establish a 2-meter look here early on. What do you see here defensively, Dean, from Australia out of the gate?
Well, they started out in a press. Now the defender got behind. We have an offensive foul, contra foul turnover. It looked like they were in a press. They had the center fronted, and then the goalie was helping out from an entry pass in from the wing, so they couldn't get it in there.
Here's the keeper, Stanton French for Australia, looking to set things up. Now they get it over to Richie Campbell. Right-hander controlling there, top of the perimeter. Heavy pressure and perhaps too much there, and an easy exclusion call. This will send number 8, Felipe Silva, off to the side for his first exclusion. And now a power play try here for the Aussies. Dangerous pass there. That one was swiped out of the air by Delgado, but it'll stay with Australia. A few fakes. Swinging around now, and cross-cage delivery is there. Score it for number 4, and Jano Cotterill connecting on the power play. Beautiful delivery there.
Absolutely. It looked like maybe he, might have passed it because the ball hit the water after he caught it and didn't shoot it right away. Typically, you want to catch and shoot on that, but the goalie didn't move over and honor that. And he had quite a bit of room to put the ball away.
So Australia out to the early lead here. They go up 1-0 in the opening minutes here of the first quarter. Just about a minute 20 gone by here in Newport Beach. The first of 6 days of water polo, so if you're in the area, come on out and watch some world-class water polo. Really the best outside of Europe competing here in Newport Beach this week. Here's Brazil now on the attack. Near side attempt there, denied. Crivello trying to sneak one past Stanton French. He's wise to it, and the Aussies take over.
Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot of room there. You had the defenders drop. Both had big arms up, and he shot near side low, which is the goalie's first responsibility.
Here's Australia now into the front court. Full slate of action. It'll be capped tonight with Team USA taking on Canada at 8:30. Those two rivals will get together, so make sure to join us for that one. But a full slate of games coming up today and every day through Saturday as Brazil takes over now after the turnover.
It's like Silva, ball stolen.
Beautifully
by,
done.
Number 7, Aiden Roach for Australia.
Roach now off to the races, 2 giving chase. And he'll have to pull it back out. Ordinary call. Roach will regroup, waiting for some help. Good job by Brazil getting back, at least initially. Keeper out, and we'll get an exclusion here. And this one will go against Brazil.
That was Swift earning the exclusion. He had a nice drive spin move to get ball side to earn that ejection.
And now Australia with a chance to go up 2. Rocha going out and score it. Aussies put it away again. Cotterill connecting on the 6-on-5.
It was a nice step out from 2 and pass delivered from the 4 spot right over the top of the defender. Cotterill was all alone, not a man within about. Had plenty of time to fake, and he shot low cross cage.
So a water polo coach's dream here for the Aussies. A couple of power plays, a couple of conversions to start things off.
Australia, U.S. was just down in Australia a couple weeks back for a training trip and beat them all 3 games. Beat the U.S. all 3 games. Some of the games, by the score looked pretty handily.
Sure. That was definitely a bit of a mixed bag as far as the roster goes for Team USA. This is really the first event you'll see them at full strength, but there's no doubt Australia, one of the favorites here this week in Newport Beach, to come away with gold here at the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. Shot clock winding down. Outside attempt. Oh, beautiful field block. Punched back out there on the attempt from Delgado. New life on offense here for the Brazilians.
Yeah, if you look at the Australians, they're on defense. They're content to drop it. All their players are getting up big with a big hand and taking away a lot of that cage.
Aggressive defense on the perimeter from Australia. Quick turn, but an exclusion, and now a power play opportunity here for Brazil.
That's Gilchrist to the penalty box.
Gilchrist heads out. And now here comes Brazil. Quick try, bar down and in, score it from the perimeter. That's Adria Delgado connecting from the outside.
That's just a textbook catch and shoot. You try and teach young players how valuable that is, but they always want to catch it and fake it. And that was a classic example, and I think young players can learn from that.
The water polo version there of the one-timer. Able to put that one away, and beautifully done by Brazil. And they finally break through here, get a goal with 4:25 to play in the first quarter, and Australia up 2-1.
Brazil in a full press all around the pool. Another
That'll be excluded, yeah. That'll be Jonas Crivello going out. So a little too aggressive here from Brazil to start, and I think always a feeling out process, right, to see how close the officials will call it, how physical you can be.
Absolutely. And they're calling it pretty tight down on the perimeter, as we've seen 2 ejections already on the perimeter.
Outside try. Look at these passes snapping around. Just too much bounce on that one. Skips it high over the goal. Out of play, but Australia looking really finely tuned there as they whip that ball around the perimeter on the power play.
Yeah, keeping it off the water. Not one guy's not holding it too long. They're moving it to keep the defense off balance.
Here's Brazil now on the attack. 3:38 to play, first quarter, 2-1 Australia.
Correa setting it 2 meters.
Double team coming. The exclusion is called against Brazil, rather against Australia. And now an opportunity again here for Brazil. That was number 5 for Australia. That's Nathan Power going out.
Gonna look at the Brazilian power play again.
Successful last time on the catch and shoot for Delgado. Let's see what they have here. Here's Delgado taking a look. A little high on that pass, comes near side, and that one field blocked out of play. Good defense there from Australia to thwart the counterattack, or rather the power play.
Yeah, Brazil ran a one-in rotation with the 6-man coming up in the pocket, but he just shot it wide and high of the goal. Didn't even put it on the frame.
Ordinary called on the far side. Australia will regroup.
That defender goalie's way out trying to help at 2 meters.
Bit of the roll of the dice there, but Australia doesn't make him pay just yet.
Yeah, it kind of seemed maybe a little unnecessary as the center was pushed all the way outside to about 4 meters and outside the post. Not a real threat from that position.
I know you coached some goalkeepers. I'm sure you were sweating it out over here watching that goalie drift too far.
Yeah, all you need is for the guy to make a pass up top and that guy to just throw up a little lob because the goalie's out at 3 meters.
2:28 to play, first quarter, inside pass. Double team is there. Australia comes up with it. It's Billy Miller coming up with the steal.
Stanton French with a long outlet pass down to 2 meters.
And let's see what Australia has here on the offensive set. Went up 2-0. Brazil came back with the goal, and now they come up with a steal. Beautiful look ahead. Here's Brazil now ahead of the crowd. It's Peroni, 1-on-none, going against the keeper. Puts on the brakes, puts it away. We're tied at 2.
Easy goal for Brazil there. Brazilians took off on the counter, sensing the turnover, and Stanton French didn't have much of a response there.
Puts on the brakes, puts it away. We're tied at 2. Beautifully done on the end of the break, and nice resiliency here from Brazil to get down 2-0, but they battle back with a couple of beautiful goals, the bar down, and then the 1-on-none. Under 2 to play, first quarter. Beautiful day here in Newport Beach on the campus of Corona Del Mar High School. And there's a steal on the perimeter. Nicely done from Brazil. Salemi coming up with it, and now he's on the move. Brazil getting out on the break. Weak side available. They'll get it over there. A turn. No shot just yet as Australia recovers. That was Franco passing on the look. And now the Brazilian offense will regroup.
Wasn't so sure about that steal there right in front of us. Looked like the Brazilian player got away with possible foul going right over the top of the guy.
Yeah, for a game that's been called pretty close thus far, a bit of a let-him-play opportunity there. Then a field block right in front of us here on the defensive end for Australia, and they'll take over with 1:12 to play in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was Salemi on the shot, and didn't have much room there from a bad angle for a right-hander on the left-hander side. And
that one turns over. Tyler Martin losing control, and Brazil again the keeper. Antonelli way out of the goal to kind of help jump-start the offense here for the Brazilians with under 1 minute to play now in the first quarter.
Australia's got frontside defense at center and a contra foul called.
And then we'll get a timeout, and Australia will call for time with 51 seconds left here in the first quarter. FINA with a 1 timeout per quarter, use it or lose it rule here in international play. So you'll see a lot of teams use a timeout when perhaps in the past they normally wouldn't have. Australia will call for time here to start and try and talk things over with perhaps one good possession left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, the Brazilians seem to be just content to stay out. Radko given a bit of instruction to one player, but didn't call the troops over for any strategy. They seem to have done a fine job setting up this facility, Greg. It really looks great. I'm here on a regular basis, swimming and whatnot, and the facility, it really looks good. They've done a great job here.
Yep, nicely dressed, a lot of banners, flags. Really gives that international venue feel right here at Newport Beach. Great opportunity to come out and see some water polo, so if you were on the fence about coming out, now you've seen the place. Great reason to come out and see some games here in person. Team USA playing the final match of each day to start things off. The first 3 days, 8:30 tonight, then 8 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday evening.
Stan French putting the ball back in play for Australia.
And let's get things going here as we close out the first quarter. All tied at 2. Brazil pressuring on the perimeter. Earned a couple of exclusions early, and they've backed off a bit. And now they'll benefit from a contra foul. And a nice wrestle there, 2 meters. And then
that was Tyler Martin on the exclusion.
An exclusion there for Martin.
Looks like he was pushing off with his free hand, his left hand, and then interfered with the Brazil team getting the ball.
That's got to always be frustrating for a coach. You already turned the ball over, and then you compound things by getting excluded.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much of what he did. It looked like the Brazilian went right over the top of him to grab the ball, pushed him under, and lost handle on it. Could have gone either way, but I don't know where he was going to go.
Sure.
Looks like Australia's made a couple substitutions for their 5-man defense.
.42 seconds left as we resume play here in the first quarter. It's a 2-2 match right now between Australia and Brazil as we get underway in the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. And here's Brazil now on the power play.
Watching them in warm-ups, and they really move the ball around their perimeter, passing it really well, not letting it hit the water, as it hits the water twice on that one.
But nonetheless, they put it away. A beautiful delivery in close. Bernardo Rocha putting that one in. And Brazil takes their first lead at 3-2 with 25 seconds to play. So the power play pays off here for the Brazilians, who've scored 3 unanswered to climb back in this one and go ahead by a goal.
Yeah, really nice entry pass into the 2-post. Again, the two-post stepped out from the 2-meter line and had nobody around him. Had time to put it away.
Last chance here for the Aussies to close out the first period.
15 seconds left in the quarter.
Let's see what Australia has here. Shot clock is off, so they can run it down to the very end, but they turn it over. Taken away by the Brazilians on the perimeter. And now let's see what they have with just 8 seconds left. Looking down pool, trying to set something up. Running out of time here. 4 seconds from the perimeter. A few fakes outside. Try blocked out by Stanton French. It'll come back in to the Brazilians with under 2 seconds to play here in the first quarter.
Yeah, that last possession by Australia, they were trying to post up down on the wing, and the offensive player had a good inside position, but it was just a poor pass up high to where the defender could knock it away.
Great look inside, but they can't come up with it, and that brings us to the end of the first quarter. After one, Australia starts off strong. Brazil battles back 3 straight. They lead 3-2. We'll step aside and return with the second quarter. You're watching the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament right here on USA Water Polo TV.
I am water polo.
Polo. I am water polo.
I am water polo.
So, you've got your hard-earned money, but you're not sure where to put it. Well, one of the best things that you can do is put it into a credit union. Credit unions are like banks, only better. They offer higher rates of return, lower fees, and are safe and secure. And because they're not for profit, they're all about putting the people first. With credit unions, you're not just another face in the crowd, you're a member. And credit unions are member-owned and member-operated. Take control of your finances. Visit or contact Sea Air Federal Credit Union to find out all of the great reasons why you should join.
And welcome back. Second quarter about to begin. Brazil and Australia. 3-2 Brazil after one.
Yeah,
coming back with 3 straight.
Quite a lot of action there in the first quarter. 5 goals would lead to believe we're going to have a high-scoring game.
Always interesting, too, in these type of events. There's got to be a bit of a filling out process. You know you're going to see some of these same teams over the course of the week. And these first games, they are important, but everyone is going to move on to that quarterfinal round. So definitely kind of just kicking the tires here, I think, seeing how the competition will go in these first couple of quarters. And there's a turnover. So Brazil's really changed the tide here. Another exclusion there on Australia.
Yeah, they definitely got the momentum here.
That'll be George Ford going out. And a power play here now for the Brazilians.
Run that 1 in rotation again. Now a 6 in rotation.
Good look, put it away from the outside, Bernardo Gomez.
Yeah, right over the top of the goalie's head. He had time to fake once or twice before he put that away. He stepped way out of the two post, kind of up in between the 1 and 4 positions, and really just got up on his legs, faked it once or twice, and the goalie Stanton French couldn't hold his position and started to sink right over his head.
So we saw the start of this game where Australia goes up 2-0. What's been the big change here that Brazil's been able to reel off 4 straight and really take control?
I think they started to counterattack, and they got some calls, some contra fouls, started countering out of that, and then got some ejections. So I think they've got 3 extra man goals, and they've converted that.
That one tossed up over the goal. Not sure if they lost the handle on that attempt by Aiden Roach, but now back to Brazil, and to your point, wasting no time getting the ball down the pool, looking at counterattack when available.
Yeah, Greg, as you well know, I mean, extra man possession, it's so important. A lot of teams struggle with that. And if you can go 50% on extra man, typically you're going to more than likely win a game that way.
Coaches are always looking at those 6-on-5 numbers after. Has a nice fill block there, but to your point, you can generally say if I showed you the 6-on-5 numbers, you can usually predict the winner, I bet, 9 times out of 10.
Absolutely. So we see Australia here on the counterattack.
They'll set it up on the offensive end after the ordinary.
Entry into 2 meters, backhand.
Beautifully done, and knocked down. Save is there from Antonelli. And now Brazil will bring it back up. A bit of a slower approach as opposed to what they've been doing over the last 5-6 minutes here in this one. Ahead 4-2 here.
Australia running a split up top.
Shot clock winding down. Outside try over the goal, out of play from the left-hander. It'll come back into Australia.
That was a tough shot by Gomes. He was really off balance as the defender came out.
Australia seems a little bit out of sync here now. We're seeing some passes on the water, some turnovers.
Yeah, just as you said, they turned it over and they got a free man going the other way.
Here we go. It could be easy money here for the Brazilians. Leaking out, 1-on-none, no one in the same zip code. Few fakes, put it away, low corner, score it for Brazil, and Paulo Slimy.
Yeah, he anticipated that very well. He was up top guarding the point as the ball turned over. As soon as he noticed that, he took off going, and his defender just sat and watched.
5 straight goals now for Brazil as they've gone up here 5-2 in their first match of the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament.
I think that was that Salemi's second goal of the match?
Looks like he may have 2, or it could be Brazil with 5 different players scoring goals right now.
Okay. So very balanced attack by Brazil.
Getting everyone involved, and to your point, really making the Australians pay, getting out in those passing lanes, generating turnovers. A big tangle right there and an exclusion. This will go on Brazil, and Guilherme Gomez will go out.
That was Roach earning the exclusion. So we got power play Australia.
Could tell when one player has their arm beneath the water that long, someone's hanging on to it. Outside try, save there, Antonelli. Knocking down the outside attempt from Billy Miller.
Yeah, and he faked it a couple times and shot it a foot off the water. Not a good shot. Looks like we've got an injured player here in Gomes.
Yeah, he's a little slow to move down the pool, holding his nose. And now they're going to get the official to stop this one.
I think sometimes you think no blood, no foul. I'm not sure if he's bleeding yet. Yep, looks like he is, so they're going to call for a substitution.
Official getting a closer look. And we'll see a change here, and now Bernardo Rocha will come on. Get a good look right in front of us here as Gomez heads off. .431 to go here, first half. Brazil 5, Australia 2. This will be 5 seconds on the shot clock here for Brazil after the stoppage. And a contra foul, so Brazil won't even get an opportunity to take a shot there.
Early outlet pass at mid-tank for Australia. Got a man wide open in front of the cage.
Oh, beautiful look in close, and there it is. Much needed for Australia, putting that one away. They go inside to Nathan Power.
Yeah, he was all alone, swimming backstroke, not a man anywhere near him, within 2 to 3 meters. And luckily, the long outlet pass from looked like it was Richie Campbell who made that long pass to Power in the middle of the goal. I think Australia really needed that after going dry for so long there in the first quarter.
Sure, I mean that was 5
quarter.
unanswered by Brazil.
Australia in a drop. Brazil takes advantage of that right away.
Second goal of the day for Bernardo Rocha from the outside, so Australia feeling good to get one back, and Brazil counters immediately and puts it away.
Yeah, and as we noticed as the game started on defense, the Australians were up big when they went into a drop, up big, lots of hands. That time they weren't too active, and they didn't get hands up, and they had a whole cage to shoot out without any arms up in the way.
Heavy pressure there from Brazil, pushing the Australians out onto the perimeter. 3:40 to go here, second quarter. 6-3, Brazil in front. Here's a clean look and a clean put away for Aiden Roach. So Australia, 2 of the last 3 goals, trying to fight their way back into this one.
We got to look for Australia, number 8, Lachlan Edwards from USC is into the game now.
So a second look there at the Roach goal. Puts it away from the outside. 6-4, Brazil in front.
We got a steal at mid-tank for Australia.
Here come the Australians now. Looking to get some momentum back here. They come up with a turnover. .310 to play, second quarter. Ball comes near side, ordinary called. Looking back inside, nothing there. Put it back out on the perimeter.
Australians were fortunate there because the man down on the wing started to drive, and the pass went over to him, and he had no idea it was coming. Brazil was going to be going the other way. They got an exclusion down at 2 meters.
So Australia now calls for time.
Looks like that was number 9, Bernardo Rocha, to the penalty box for Brazil.
That's his second of the day. So he has 2 goals, but now 2 exclusions. Now we've seen Australia get back into this. They've shown some new life here in the last couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Went dry for about 7 minutes there, and they've been fortunate to get their counterattack going and get a couple goals that way. Quick timeout for a little strategy for the 6-on-5 power play.
And here we go now, 3 minutes to play until half. Australia looking to close within 1 on the 6-on-5. Heavy fakes. A lot on that pass. Inside. Beautiful save. A fight for it. Batted around. Still on the advantage here. Big cross pass. Cross cage. That's deflected. And then tipped in, and they'll count it. Score it for Australia. Brazil going to argue this one. Official going to pull the ball out. Let's see.
I think from our vantage point, looked like it was definitely in.
Second look. That was in for sure.
Yeah, looking on our monitor, definitely see that.
Let's see if there's a different call here. And Australia, it's Joel Swift putting that one away. Right place, right time. Following the shot, tapping it in. It's a one-goal game, just that fast.
It looks like we've got a timeout. The referees are going to have a discussion. I don't think it's about the goal. They called the goal good, so it must be something else.
May have been some confusion about the re-entry after that exclusion.
Looks like the referees have sorted things out. See if we can get some explanation as to what was going on with their discussion.
Like they're trying to figure out what was going on the clock.
So they're saying it was a goal, which we clearly saw on the monitor.
Certainly.
Like it's a time or clock issue.
So confirmed here, a goal by 9 Australia, Joel Swift. I think it was more of a clock issue. Nonetheless, we're back underway here with 2:34 to play, first half.
Looks like Australia's going to go back into a press as they employed at the start of the game.
Worked out quite well for them early on as they built a 2-0 lead.
Now they go back into a drop once the center he just got free.
Look at that look inside. Great save. Stanton French facing him right on the front doorstep, knocks it down. And Australia takes control with 2:05 to play.
Yeah, I think Stan French saw Correa come free right in the middle, and he slid out to cut off the angle. It was really a point-blank shot for Correa, and Stan French was there to knock it away.
On the other end now, an exclusion coming on Brazil. This will be on Guilherme Gomez, his second.
Another Australian power play. They go back into their 6-in rotation.
Australia looking for the tie here. They're down 6-5. There it is. We're even at 6 from the outside. It's John O'Connell with his third of the day.
It's a nice shot from up top. He had a clear lane right to the lower left of the goalie. Looks like Cotterill, they're moving guys around on Australia. I noticed the last power play he was down at the 2 post, and now they put him up top at the 4 position.
It's obviously a guy that can do a little bit of everything.
My understanding, he's got a nephew that's going to be playing polo this next year at UC Santa Barbara.
All right. Coach Wolfwago, I'm sure, happy about that up in Santa Barbara. Entry in. Whoa, spinning backhand there. That one is deflected out. Quick release coming from Felipe Silva.
And yellow card just awarded to Ratko Rudic for head coach for Brazil. Seems quite upset about what's going on out here. He thought there should have been ejection down here right in front of us.
Regardless, Brazil will have it, although a chase for it here on the perimeter. Dangerous there, passing out of the corner near mid-tank, almost ignited an Australian counterattack with 1:15 to go in the first half, all tied at 6. Beautiful shot, just wicked from the outside.
Very nice, Hezzy. Had a very, very good hitch in that shot. Gave him about 3 fakes and just came off the wrist. Goalie didn't move much at all on that.
Delgado with his second puts Brazil back in front, 7-6. Back and forth we've gone here in this first half. We're now under a minute to play in the second quarter.
Steal up top.
And ball back to Brazil. So can they close here with a flourish with under a minute to play in the first half? Couple of fakes there. Plenty of time on the shot clock as Brazil sets up their offense. There's a try, but field blocked. Big hand from George Ford. And then a turnover. It looked like Australia was ready to call a timeout, but they didn't have the possession just yet. Then quickly a contra foul, and now Brazil takes control. And they'll call for time as Coach Rudic signals for the timeout. 30 seconds left, first half, 27 on the shot clock, so Brazil can wind this thing down to the very end here and get a good look.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened on that contra foul. I didn't look like there was nobody really guarding each other as they went out on the counter, so it was tough to see what that call was. This has definitely been a momentum swinging game.
Sure.
You know, each team's had a little momentum back and forth.
It's been interesting, kind of the runs you've seen teams go on. It started off with Australia, then Brazil, then Australia. Now it feels like Brazil's turn again.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically unusual. Usually you get a little bit of back and forth as opposed to, you know, runs by each team like we've seen.
Back to the action now out of the timeout.
Australia in a press as they've got front position down at center.
Brazil taking their time to set things up here with 15 on the shot clock. Salimi moving into position. Around the horn they go. Under 10 seconds to go on the first half game clock. Ordinary from out top. Peroni takes a look, feeds it inside. Double team, takeaway. Australia has it. Final try, goes over the goal, and we're out of time. First half is in the books. And a back and forth opening 2 periods of action leaves Brazil ahead of Australia 7-6 as we come into halftime in our first match of the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. Third quarter coming up. Stay with us here from Newport Beach, California. We're back after this. You're watching live on USA Water Polo TV.
You never know where the next Olympian might be coming from, but it could be water polo, and that starts with Splash Ball. Splash Ball is a program for children ages 5 through 9 designed to introduce them to the sport of water polo while promoting water safety. Improve swimming skills and learn a sport you'll love for a lifetime. For more information, visit splashballusa.org.
Champions aren't born. Champions come from doing what others won't. Because doing their best in this moment puts them in the best place for the next moment. Champions are made. Will. Determination. Greatness. Tear. Get made.
Am.
Water.
Water polo.
Polo.
Third quarter set to begin here from Corona Del Mar High School, along with Dean Quintal. Greg Meskel here with you poolside at the home of the Sea Kings, CDM. Dean, adjustments for either side here as they come out of the halftime break. I think we saw both had breakdowns and successes in different areas.
Yeah, I think the Australians, they need to be more aware of the counterattack. You know, they got beat, three times on counterattacks, and really need to be careful in the front court and getting ejections right at it when the ball turns over. They've gotten called for 2 or 3 ejections in the back court off the turnover, so they really need to be careful of that. For Brazil, I think keep doing what they're doing. They're applying a lot of pressure. They're getting out on the break, like we said, and that's where they've had their success. And their power play. Brazil's been very successful in their power play, as we see Australia jumped on the sprint. Ball will go over to Brazil to start the match.
Always the easiest way to win a sprint. Let the other side jump the gun, and Brazil will take control there in the Whitecaps. Australia in the dark if you're just joining us. The first of 4 matches today. We'll close it out tonight at 8:30 with Team USA taking on Canada. A couple of Pan American rivals meeting ahead of the Pan American Games coming up this July in Toronto. But now here it's Australia controlling after the turnover.
They called Silve for jumping off the bottom there at 2 meters to gain an advantage.
Yeah, this pool here goes about 7 feet deep, shy a couple of inches there. So if you're on a little bit of the taller side, you can definitely get down and touch the bottom, give yourself a little boost.
Yeah, 6 feet 7 inches all the way across. So, really needs to be about 7 feet so you can't take as much advantage. But with 6, 7, some of the taller guys can take advantage of that.
Jonas Crivillo excluded for Brazil, his second power play opportunity here for Australia. A miss there on the redirect, and they'll push it back out on the perimeter. Sides coming even now. Australia under the gun. They put it away, and they tie it up at 7. Won't count as a power play goal. Sides had come even, but the goal is there for Australia, and Aiden Roach his second.
I think that would have counted even if Antonelli had blocked it, because he was about a foot deep in the goal as that thing went through.
I think one thing to touch on here, Dean, if you're watching this game at home and you're thinking, wow, they're getting up and down the pool pretty fast, we are working here on a 25-meter course, so a little bit more of a shorter experience, a lot of end-to-end action.
There we got a turnover by Australia, and they've got a 2-on-1 break.
Speaking of end-to-end action, here come the Aussies now, full head of steam, putting on the brakes. Double team is there, defense coming over, and Antonelli comes up with the ball.
The referee said he had his hand on the ball. Looked like to me he took it off once the guy came over the top of his head. Yeah, the shorter course, that 5 extra meters makes a big difference when you're out there, and you know, giving both teams a little more time in the front court with the shot clock. You know, for those of you out there not too familiar with water polo, they've got a 30-second shot clock. We're in the middle of March Madness. I know I was talking this weekend with friends as we see a nice shot and a goal on the counterattack for Australia. You know, college basketball uses a 35-second shot clock, and that just loads of time.
A lot of folks there feel like that's an eternity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how long it takes you to get down a basketball court and compare that here in the pool, and you got 5 less seconds. So you really got to hurry things up by the time you get down and set up the front court. So now we've had Australia out on the counterattack the last 2 times, and that was a great pass and a shot. Was that number 2?
Yeah, Richie Campbell putting that one away, and Australia now is taking the lead back. This is the first time they've led. You got to go back to 2-0. They've gone up 8-7. Don't let our graphics fool you. Australia is ahead by not by that many goals. Just 8-7 here in the third. And their turnover. It's really been such a game of runs here and just of momentum, as now Brazil excluded again. It seems like a team gets a little bit of command and they're able to ride it for a few minutes here, a wave of success, and Australia now with another opportunity on the exclusion against Bernardo Gomes.
That's Cotterill now. He's looks like his 3rd position at the 6-on-5. He's down at the 1 spot.
Quick look, and he puts it away on the near side. Cotterill, his 4th, a high-scoring Australian, puts the Aussies up 9-7.
And that's I mean, when you've got a guy who can play, you know, we've seen him in 3 different positions on 6-on-5. That's just valuable, because no matter, looks like, you know, wherever he is in the pool, he can go to any position and help you out.
Nice second look there. Cotterill getting the ball to go near side. .5:17 to play, 3rd quarter. Australia up on Brazil here, 9-7 in our opening match. Entry inside and tipped away.
Yeah,
Aussies come up with the steal.
Tough entry pass. There wasn't a whole lot of room. Pass sailed a little long, and that was Silve. Couldn't get a handle on it as it scooted on by.
Heavy pressure here from Brazil on the perimeter. Shot clock under 10. Entry inside, a fight for it, and Whitecaps are there. Gomeras able to come up with it.
That was Edwards in at 2 meters for Australia, and he had plenty of room to work with, but he needs to go out and get the ball. He was, I think, trying to draw the foul. Allowed the defense to come over and steal.
A little smack to the face there for Delgado. He sticks with it, picks it up, tries to go inside, double team, and Australia aggressive on defense. Campbell coming over for the takeaway with 4:15 to play, 3rd quarter, 9-7 Australia in front.
And they've got a guy open in the middle of the pool on the counter. That's Cotterill.
Now they see him, but too much on that one. Lofted that pass a bit and taken away by Brazil. And now they'll go a long outlet pass. Quick try, and that one is stopped out of play by Stanton French on the attempt by Peroni.
Nice save there by Stanton French. That could have got Brazil, you know, switch the momentum as we see here. You know, Australia's definitely got the momentum in this 3rd quarter. Brazil's got to do something to stop that momentum.
Takeaway there, and that's not going to stop the momentum. Reese Howden getting up high to pick it off.
Reese, one of the Olympians from 2012 for Team Australia.
Looking to get his team back in 2016 in Rio. They'll have to come out of the Oceania area. And there's a contra foul and a turnover in close. It's back to Antonelli and the Brazilians. 3:13 to go, third quarter. How did he make that shot? Looked to not even be able to see the goal yet. Felipe Silva puts it home.
Yeah, he had plenty of room to work with there. Defense didn't crash, allowed him to get a hold of the ball, and just a nice turn and shot. He shot opposite of where I think the goalie thought it was going to go.
Second look here. Able to put that one away. Somehow emerging out of the water and puts it home. And it's a one-goal game once more with 3:01 to play in the third.
So we've got Swift back in at 2 meters for Australia. Things getting really physical down at 2 meters with Swift and Franco for Brazil.
Lots of white water, lots of shoving. Shot clock to 6. They'll put it in with 4 on the shot clock. Losing the handle on the turn. Tough angle there to try and put it on net, maybe hoping for a goalie save, but it goes out of play, and Brazil takes over.
Brazil is up on this counterattack. They can get it moving. Now Australia back to even strength.
Entry pass in. Ooh, dangerous there in front of the goal. And still a battle for it, and Stanton French going out aggressively to get the ball away from
Peroni didn't give up on that.
No, he
had a couple opportunities.
Under 2 to play here in the third.
Looks like Australia's going to go to a post-up game. They try to post up from the one side. Now they got post up on the left side here.
Running low on time, though, on the shot clock.
Yeah,
Ordinary
it says 0.
1 second left, now 0. Backhand and in.
Right at the buzzer.
Wow.
That was good work down there from number 6, Gilchrist. And then got the pass over to Swift.
So Swift on the backhand. He was swift with less than a second on the shot clock. Here's a second look at this one. Puts it right in and quickly on the backhand on the skip, puts it away.
I think what Radko Rudic is arguing about is that the shot clock actually showed 0 before that pass was made. And then as it started again, 1 came up.
That does happen sometimes with these shot clocks to try and show the time because they don't always have the ability to show tenths of a second. Regardless, these officials have been pretty clear, Dean, about not wanting to hear anything from the coaches.
Yeah,
We've
absolutely.
seen the yellow card. We've seen them just wave off coaches when they try and make an argument.
Yeah, and Radko's got to be careful here. If he picks up a red card, then he's got to sit out the next game.
Outside attempt from Brazil. Stanton French is there. Aussies maintain the 10-8 lead here in the third. 1:17 to play.
Brazil seems to have gotten away from what they were doing in the first half. A lot of pressure, a lot of counterattack. You know, they settled for just an outside shot there without any movement. Got inside water here.
And an exclusion called with under a minute to play here in the third.
Not sure Peroni there. He could have let him go because they were outside the post at about 3 meters, and he was going to have help from the wing defender.
Peroni ended up getting excluded there. Now Australia with a chance here on a 6-on-5 as we wind down the third period.
So Australia is really, taking the momentum of this game, and you got a chance to go up by 3 goals here. This third quarter, we haven't really seen a whole lot out of Brazil like they were playing in the first half.
Although much like the theme of this game, it's been one team's turn, then another's, then another. So is the fourth quarter the time when Brazil rallies once more, or has Australia finally found the ability here to pull away and now put them away?
Yeah, they pretty much dominated this third quarter, so this is probably about the longest run we've seen in the match as far as momentum goes.
Under a minute to play as we break the timeout. 6-on-5 opportunity here for Australia. A few fakes. And beautiful cross cage. Scored it for Australia. Jared Gilchrist, his first. And the Aussies now go up 3, 11-8.
Yeah, he had a clear lane to the goal. There were no hands up from his vantage point. It was just between him and the goalie. And the Brazilian defense, they had their hands up, but they weren't in line with the shooter.
And for those that are maybe new to the game, what do you mean by that, in line with the shooter?
Well, you had defenders who weren't directly in front of Gilchrist there, and they had hands up, but he had a clear lane. It was just him and the goalie. The hands were, there was a hand up from the wing defender, but he wasn't taking any part of the cage. And guys across from him, the X4 defender, he had a hand up, but he's guarding another man, so it wasn't taking anything away either.
Try there at a play on the attempt from Delgado. As we wind down the third quarter here, shot clock is off, under 10 seconds to play. Quick steal there from Brazil. Batted around, and that'll bring an end to the third period. Dominant effort by Australia in the third quarter. They go up 11-8. 4 goals for John O'Connell. 2 apiece for Aiden Roach. Joel Swift, Aussies in control. We're back with the fourth quarter. Stay with us after this.
Water polo.
Polo. I am water polo.
Fourth quarter about to begin here at Corona Del Mar High School. Thanks for joining us. The first of 4 games on the day here at the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. And a strong start here for Australia. Went up 2-0. Brazil battled back and ran off 5 straight goals as Brazil controls the opening sprint. But Australia rallied with a impressive third quarter to go ahead here 11-8 as we begin the fourth.
And Brazil needs to get a good possession here and get a goal to really, stem the momentum of Australia. And we've got a steal for Australia.
So much for that to start things off. Aussies getting out on the perimeter, but then they give it right back. So a steal, then a contra foul, and now Brazil ahead of the field. And a takeaway. Official ruling ball on the hand. And it's taken away there by the Aussies in close, and now they'll have it right back. So a couple of turnovers to get things going here in the fourth.
That's hard not to give that offensive player a call in that situation. Now they've gone ahead and stole the ball again.
Brazil thought they had a steal, but then Australia takes it right back. And now you got a 2-on-1 here for the Aussies moving in. But that shot attempt is missed wide and saved out by Antonelli. New shot clock here for the Australians.
Yeah, that was a really big shot, save by Antonelli. If they would have given that up, it would have been a backbreaker for Brazil. I think the officials, they're not buying the fouls out on the wing. I think the players are either, the officials are thinking they're faking those fouls and not buying into it at all. And that's why we saw a turnover both ways there.
Entry inside, and an exclusion called. This goes against Brazil and Bernardo Rocha. And that should be it for him. 3 exclusions for Rocha. He's out for the day. And a power play here for the Australians. Ahead 11-8. 90 seconds deep here in the fourth quarter. A few fakes. Patient on the perimeter. Sides coming even. Shot attempt off the post. Rebound controlled by Brazil, so they hold off the power play there. And if they want to rally, it's going to have to start here pretty soon, trailing 11-8 with 6 minutes to play.
Well, they've thwarted two of the last attempts by Australia. Now they need to get some of their own here.
Look inside. That one bounces over the head of the defender, and then an easy turnaround and put away for Peroni, his second, and Brazil gets back a much-needed score. They trail now by 2, 11-9.
Yeah, Peroni's been pretty impressive down there, 2 meters. He just doesn't give up, as we saw there. That was a good second effort. He might have flicked the ball up with his foot to himself, because he really got separation there from the defender. The defender had good position, but then he flipped it up and kind of slid away from him.
Another exclusion on Brazil. It'll be Jonas Travillo, and that is all for him. His third exclusion, so 2 going out here permanently in this one for Brazil. Another 6-on-5 here for the Australians. A few fakes, and they don't miss it that time from the outside. Richie Campbell, his second. And Australia goes right back in front by 3.
Very nice shot by Campbell, right over the head of Antonelli. Probably a goalie's worst nightmare when you shoot it right over their head.
The old donut goal there, I think, as they call it sometimes.
Amongst other things, yes.
.5:13 to go, fourth quarter. 12-9 Australia. Quick catch and release there. Almost tricky by Delgado, trying to give the appearance he might pass. And quick wrist action. It was on net, but a save by Stanton French.
Yeah, he got it off pretty quickly, but it was, foot off the water. And like you said, it was a wrist shot, so it didn't have a whole lot on it. But he does have an unusual release, as we saw earlier in the match. He had that little hitch that went cross cage high corner.
Another exclusion on Brazil. Paulo Slimy going out, his first. 6-on-5 opportunity now for the Australians. Few fakes, look inside. That got partially deflected, allowing Antonelli to come up with it. And Brazil will take over.
That was tough for Edwards to get much on that, as it was just a kind of backhand redirection shot.
Four minutes to play, fourth quarter, 12-9 Australia. And a steal on the perimeter, just a dangerous pass, and the Aussies come up with it. Aiden Roach there.
Yeah, it was Franco trying to post up on the wing, and he had inside position, but the pass just went to the outside and allowed, I think that was Roach to make that steal.
Entry inside and then knocked away. And so a couple of steals on each end of the pool. And Antonelli controlling as two athletes tied up there in the backcourt. Now Brazil can advance.
Not sure about that pass. You had both guys in at 2 meters. You got one in the middle, one on the post, and their defenders were both on that side. But we had a nice outside shot there from number 11.
It's Gustavo Guimarães hitting for Brazil with 3:04 to play, making it a 12-10 game.
Didn't look like Stanton French was expecting that shot at all. He really didn't move as that thing went by him. Well, we've got a 2-goal game here with 3 minutes left, Greg.
Does Brazil have it in him here, Dean, to come back here and make a little charge?
You know, they're keeping it close, and they get another shot like that last one.
The turnovers have been happening. If they can just generate a couple to go in their direction.
Yeah, they're getting good pressure, and they've got 2 meters pressed out to about 4.
Shot clock here to 2. Tough possession for Australia. They'll have to feed it inside looking for an entry, but the shot clock expires, and now Brazil takes control with 2:30 to play, trailing 12-10.
You got Cotterill on the drop, helping out at 2 meters.
Entry inside, and that's taken away. Australia again with the defense forward coming up with it.
Again, Greg, that was Silve in at 2 meters. He had good inside position, and it was the pass again. You know, they've worked hard and got position, and then, on several occasions, as we've seen today, it hasn't been a good pass, and it's been an easy steal for Australia.
Under 2 to play now. Brazil getting short on time to try and complete this rally. And now they'll send a couple down to the offensive end with the shot clock about to expire. But before that, they'll get excluded. And then a timeout called by Australia. So Gustavo Guimarães, the excluded player, and then Australia calls for time.
And that's just a backbreaker because they played good defense. They started to go, a couple guys up top started to go on offense. And there really wasn't much happening there. It wasn't a great entry pass, but looked like the defender was not letting the Australian center get out to get the ball. And, you know, with close to what was about 2 seconds left on the shot clock when you get that exclusion. You work so hard, and then an exclusion comes at that point, and that's just that's a tough thing to have happen.
Yeah, such frustration there from all the Brazilian players. You could see them hitting the water. They were really bummed out, to your point, after playing defense well for that long, just to give it back. And also they know that when you're down 2, you have under 2 minutes to play, you play good defense. That was going to be their moment to try and generate some offense. Now you get an exclusion, a timeout. They're really in a tough spot here, dealing on a man down with 1:40 left in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to come up big here with a stop if they want to have a chance to even the game up. We've got 1:40 left, so they've got about 3. They're going to only have about 2 possessions left, Brazil, that being Brazil.
And if Australia scores here, that could be the backbreaker in this one.
Yeah, very tough to get 3 goals in a minute. Not to say it can't happen. It's been done.
Sure. Side's coming even. Look inside and punched in right on the front doorstep. Score for Australia, and who else but Jono Cotterill, his 5th of the day, and that might decide this one, putting the Aussies ahead 13-10 with 1:16.
Yeah, nice. Cotterill got up and skied for that ball. He started out on the perimeter, and then they drove him down to the 2-post, and the center defender just lost sight of him. He was watching the ball, and Cotterill was about a foot or 2 away from him. Just got up nicely and put that home.
1:05 to play here in the 4th, 13-10. Australia ahead. Brazil trying to pull something together here in the final moments. But it appears they'll be headed to a loss on day 1 of the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. That is saved out by Stanton French. It'll come back in with a new shot clock with 52 seconds to play.
I think that just showed a little frustration by Brazil as Franco was, waving the ball up top, didn't really have much, and took a shot, bad angle shot.
Here's Delgado. Had some big goals in the first half. Shot clock to 15. Still time here for the Brazilians.
And Peroni just got tired of Reese Howden's defense down at 2 meters and moved out to the wing. You got Silve moving in at 2 meters.
Entry inside. Trying the backhand just off the mark. Wasn't lined up with the goal. And now with the shot clock off, Australia can wind out the clock here in this one on their way to a victory on day 1 here in Newport Beach. 13-10, Australia in front, jumped out to the 2-0 lead. Dealt with Brazil, building a 5-2 lead, battled back from that, and ever since third quarter, Dean, they have been in command, and they will take it here to a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it was quite impressive by Australia to come back, because really, after the first half, Brazil was in control, and they were outplaying them. Counterattack, drawn ejections were very efficient in the first half on their extra man advantage. But things just turned around for Australia after halftime, and seemed like the second half was all Australia.
Jono Cotterill does the job for the Aussies. 5 goals in the win. They take it 13-10. Coming up next at around 5 p.m. Pacific time, Kazakhstan taking on China as we continue day 1 here of the FINA Men's Intercontinental Tournament. We'll step aside for now. For Dean Quintal, Greg Maskell, our entire production crew, thanks for watching, and we'll be back with China and Kazakhstan.